Good morning. Welcome this morning. There's a lot going on. We have a triple header baptism this morning. A rare opportunity that we get to celebrate. Wonderful occasion. Good reminder that God blesses us in so many different ways. God names us and claims us and recognizes us and hears us in so many different ways. Today we're reminded that God recognizes us through water, cleanses us, makes us his own. We remember that God hears our prayers when we come here together. Our text today says that when we come with humble hearts, we are made right. We are in right relationship with God when we remember that we can't get there on our own. And that's why most of us, I think, are here this morning. Because we need a little help. Sometimes a lot of help. To face the challenges, to face our worries, to help get us through. And this morning we got good people around us to help us with that, and we've got a good God taking care of us, listening to our concerns. We also have some very comfy seats this morning. Quilters have been working very hard, and we have just shy of 200 quilts that we're blessing today. We do this twice a year. And they will be sent out, who knows where. They go all over the place. Through Lutheran World Relief, they're shipped all around the world. So after service, we'll be bundling those up, box them up, and they will be taken to Portland, and they're taken from there to wherever the need is. Got a letter just last week saying that our last batch of quilts, some of them ended up in Mali, West Africa, with this remote area that has pretty much nothing. They're working on trying to get some clean water there and trying to get some sort of housing. And to know that people are thought of and cared for through the work that we're doing here in the center, pretty amazing. I love that reminder. I love to recognize the impact that we have. That this little church in the woods, up on the hill, is making a difference around the world. That's how God works. God takes small things and does incredible things through them. That's what the water is. I was just explaining that through baptism, it's not a whole lot of water that we have to use. It's not magic water, but it's a powerful God that works through even just a little bit of water. It's a powerful God that works even through small, quiet, humble prayers to make us different, to bring healing more fully into the world. Sisters and brothers in Christ, beloved children of God, grace, mercy, and peace be with you all. This is the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 18th chapter. Jesus also told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and regarded others with contempt. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, was praying thus, God, I thank you that I am not like other people, thieves, rogues, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give 1/10 of all my income. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even look up to heaven. He was beating his breast and saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his home justified rather than the other. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, but all who humble themselves will be exalted. This is the gospel of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
God's grace, mercy, and peace be yours this day through Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen. I want to context this just a little bit before we get too far. We're in Luke chapter 18, and this whole chapter is about prayer. We heard last week a story about prayer, and Jesus told this parable, a story that's not meant to be taken literally, but makes a point. Story of this woman, this poor little old lady. She was a widow, and she went to this judge who was known to be kind of a not nice person. And she asked for help. She asked for justice. She asked for things to be made right. The judge didn't care. He didn't care about many people other than himself. So he ignored her. But she kept coming back and pestered him. And finally he's like, enough! Leave me alone! Fine, you can have justice. Get what you want here. Fine. Just leave me alone. And Jesus' point is if the unjust judge, if the guy who's so selfish can grant help where it's needed, how much more so will a loving God care for us? When we keep coming back, when we don't give up, when we are persistent in coming back to God and asking for help, asking for healing where it's needed. Today we have the other half of the chapter, and we have this story about these two guys praying. And Pharisee and a tax collector. And again, it's a parable. It's not meant to be taken literally. Jesus is not trying to shame any individuals this way. And I've talked before how I think the twist in Jesus' teaching often comes, or the core of Jesus' teaching is in the surprise, the twist in the story. Now, in the ancient world, I think when I usually encounter a Pharisee in one of the lessons, I think, oh yeah, here it comes. Jesus is gonna set things straight. The Pharisee is kind of the person who misses the point. The disciples miss the point a lot too. But the Pharisee is often uplifted as one who doesn't quite get it and is so tied to tradition that they miss the Messiah who's standing right in front of them. So I hear Pharisee, and I don't hear it the same way that Jesus' first hearers would have heard it. In the ancient world, the Pharisee would have been the hero. The Pharisee was the best person imaginable. They were somewhere between having the reputation of a doctor and a teacher and a pastor, all kind of rolled into one. They were to be respected on all occasions. And here Jesus is saying that the Pharisee misses the point. The Pharisee is overconfident, thinking of himself as wonderful, saying, look what I do. I go to church. I pray. I give an offering. I'm a good person. I've often heard that you can tell the quality of a person's faith when they talk about it. Is it all about what they do themselves, or is it about what God has done? The poor tax collector, known to be a cheat, a thief, a very immoral person who makes his living by exploiting others, taking more than is required in the taxes and lining his own pockets that way. Everybody hated the tax collectors. Because today we love the tax collectors, right? I don't think it's fair to blame them. It's a job that needs to be done. But in the ancient world especially, it was tough because that's how they made their living, was taking more than was required. So people were like, man, here they come again. They're just, look at how well they're living, and they're taking my money to do it. This is the person who is uplifted as the hero. Why? Because he's not trying to get by on his own merit. He's not saying how perfect and wonderful he is. Instead, he said, God, I'm in your hands. This is yours. This life is yours. My place in this world needs to be yours. Have mercy on me. I've made mistakes. I know I'm not perfect. I know I have room to improve, room to grow. But by your goodness, by your love, I know I've got hope. I know things can be better. I know I can be better. And Jesus says that this is the one, this thief, this crook, is the one who goes home justified, which is to say, he's just where he needs to be. He's in just the right place because he recognizes that he's not going to get there on his own. And he's not the one looking down his nose, like the Pharisee, who says, oh, at least I'm better than that guy. It's easy to poke fun at the Pharisee and to say he looks ridiculous, but I think a lot of us do that all week long. You see somebody and you go, oh boy, yeah, I'm going to be over here. You can stay over there. We look down our nose. Even if we're very polite, even if we're kind outwardly, there's a part of us that might be thinking otherwise. We need to be careful of that. I think that's what this lesson is all about, being self-aware, being honest about how we look at others around us. Because when we look down our nose at other people, we're missing out on an opportunity to connect. To hear from them, learn from them, support them if need be, and most importantly, to connect with God. To grow in our faith. As we see ourselves as mutual travelers. As people on the same journey, doing our best to get through. Which of the two was justified in our story? The one who could be humble enough to see God in everybody, to recognize that he was imperfect, or When we fail to be humble, we fail to connect. We fail to allow room for God to work. But when we are open, when we are humble enough to recognize our need, to recognize that we are imperfect, to recognize the importance of God's grace at work in us, then we are justified. We are made right. We have found our proper place in the world. May we go about this week not too good for anyone, not too good to pray, not too busy to care for others. And in so doing, may we live in that proper place.